Hello and welcome to a new episode of What's New in MetaExplorer. Today we're going to look at the new landing page. It has been live since about a week and I've collected some feedback. Unfortunately, it's not the best feedback, so we're going to look at how we can use MetaExplorer in order to improve this landing page without actually having to go into any code. Let's start. So here we have the current MetaExplorer landing page. This is where when you go to metaexplorer.io you will land. There's an illustration in the background. I scroll down, I get a parallax effect. There's some general content like there is on a lot of other landing pages as well, video, text, and so on. What sets this landing page apart is that it's interactive, and this has been built with MetaExplorer as well. What I wanted to show is that you can actually build these little forms here, for example, with MetaExplorer and create some sort of interest in that direction. So this is how it looks. Then at the bottom we have another one of the hero images, and then finally we have a link, or better saying, we can write an email here to contact at MetaExplorer. If I, for example, say subject, I'd like to know more, what is this? Then you see the QR code down here changes. And actually what also happens is the data that you put in here, it gets compiled into a mail to link. And if I hit copy here, and now I'm going to paste this link over here, you can see that it's the whole mail to link that contains the subject, I'd like to know more, blah, blah, blah. And then body, what is this? This is actually a format that you find on some links. When you, for example, click on this link here, then you will see that the mail application just opened, and that's because it's a standard link. So this is something that you can create with MetaExplorer. It's based on the standard web formats, and I think it should be easier for people who can't program to access these web formats. You can also see on the top here I have the MetaExplorer editor open. This runs locally on my machine. This is actually online. There's also the Explore section where I have a couple of YouTube videos that I've already created, and then links to separate profiles on the web. Well, okay, so what I got as feedback actually was that the current landing page here, with Wrap Your Little Helpers, this is too ambiguous. People were simply confused, didn't know what that is. Then the language is a little hard, and it should be really clear what actually the tool does. And the page actually loads a bit slow, but right now MetaExplorer is in the proof of concept phase, so I think that's a good excuse. Well, the feedback was also that the lower we go, the more clear it becomes what it's actually about. And people actually like this contact form because it's something, well, that not a lot of other people use. Okay, let's go here in the MetaExplorer editor now. As you will see, a button on the right here, the yellow edit button. This is because my MetaExplorer editor is wrapped around this landing page now, so I can edit it. And this is how the editor looks like. I'm going to make it full screen as well. Again, so let's say we've got, as a team, now the task to improve this landing page, and for example, wrap your little helpers could be replaced with something much more catchy. And for that, the first thing we might want to do, actually maybe as a first step, the best thing is to go to this page and see for ourselves what the copy that we have, how good that the current copy actually, how good it's readable. And for that, I'm going to hemingwayapp.com, and for example here the second paragraph under Wrap Your Little Helpers is already very hard to read. Then here's an example of how a paragraph below that could be simplified. Move it from require to need. The rest is kind of okay first, and then, well, here's another sentence that is hard to read. Okay, or let's say very hard to read even. Okay. Good, so it's not too terrible. We might actually keep something of this first and just focus on this part. All right, so I've got my full app here now, and over here is the way that the editor displays this, or the way that the code actually sees this landing page. It's got the navigation bar on top, and then if I go in here, I don't have the navigation bar on top anymore, and I can go into the smaller components here on the landing page, for example. So I'm navigating now down into the hero part, and here I can see, okay, I've got an HTML component that contains the heading, and now I can say, okay, wrap your little helpers. I'm going to replace that with improve your front end, with open collaborative tools. Okay. The way I came up with this particular headline was actually by going to this page, and this is a headline analyzer which uses artificial intelligence to give you an idea of how good your headline is in terms of emotional marketing value. Now, the thing is, I needed to come up with a descriptive headline. So the easiest thing I did was I went to their homepage and says, improve your marketing with research and analysis tools here. If I copy and paste that over here, I get a 57.14% emotional marketing value score, and it seems to be spiritual. And if I go ahead and paste in my headline, yeah, well, it doesn't get there completely, but at least it's not as ambiguous as wrap your little helpers, which is, yeah, just really neutral. Okay. So this is how I came up with the replacement headline for the moment, until the landing page gets like a major overhaul. Then what we also wanted to do was change the other part, which was here in the, let's go into this component, and then here in the small problems require small solutions. This require should be changed, and that is in this component. And here we have it. Here's actually the video link on the top. Then there's a CSS class, and then we have a text input for the header text. And this is actually how MetaExplorer works mostly. You simply get a component, in this case title, text and video, that works in a particular way. It might, for example, come from your design system, but what people want to change is usually not then this entire component. It's only particular parts of it. And for example, this component, if I maximize it, it shows it horizontally, and if I have it on a small screen, it shows it vertically. And if I can change the order, for example, this was the switch vertical direction. Okay, yeah, okay, now it switches the vertical direction. These are the things that I might actually want to change. I'm not usually, as a user, interested in how it works under the hood. So yeah, in order for an organization to have simply the building blocks out of which their applications are usually made of, for that case to not be a separate development project every time, I created MetaExplorer so that people can simply go in here and say, yeah, switch this, change a little bit of text there, change a little bit of CSS over here, or a media link. Okay, this is this headline, which is now fixed, hopefully. I also got a feedback that, well, I'm quickly going to show how it looks in the total view. Yeah, these headlines, that there's so much space in between here, was a feedback that just looks weird. So that's something that I'm going to change in CSS. This is right now not a functionality that I have prepared in a way that it's easily changeable in MetaExplorer. This is probably something I will do in the future, that some CSS is simply selectable, so that you can change and search from a range of CSS classes. Okay, now another thing I wanted to do is, because people did not quite understand what this gift, this wrapped gift in the back, should have to do with this technical tool, I wanted to move this part a little bit further up, just around here, and I wanted to move this image with the hands shaping some pottery up here, and then move the gift simply to the bottom. This is actually done with CSS classes that I did prepare. So what I'm going to do is here in the hero image here, I have a CSS class called MXP hero, and in the other one, let's see, I will definitely improve the user experience there. It's a little bit unnerving to open that up all the time, and to navigate around the app is a little bit yeah, it's a little bit cumbersome at the moment. So for that, we are going into this one, enter MetaExplorer. Here we have this illustration in the background, and here I have the class bottom image here. Okay, just quickly move this around. So if I change this now, what will happen is that it's taking the top image only. So I think this part is done, and I can now move up here to the hero image, improve your front end with collaborative tools, and if I add if I add XP hero, if I add this again, then we should see that we have a pottery image in the background now. If I go back to the index and then maximize it all, yeah, now we have that on the top, and we have this at the bottom. Instead of shape the flow of information, I might actually move this, change this to share something in the future, but I'm not entirely sure yet what the copy there should be. So I leave it like this for now, but it should fit better with the background image. Okay. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to move this part here up here, because actually what happens with landing pages is that most people don't really scroll to the end, and if well, the feedback is that the interesting part is at the end and people don't scroll there, then we should do something about it. All right. Okay, so where is the imprint? Is at the very bottom. Let's see, it's in number 5. This one, the mail to form, is here number 4. And then the enter MetaExplorer is the one that comes before that. So we can actually, I can remove this connection, and let's say I would connect it to the point 1 over here, then the shape, the flow would be below the email form. But what we actually want to do is have the mail to form below the shape the flow form. That's why I'm going to put that at the bottom, put that at the top, and then we can actually take this entire block here and put it at a position a little further up the chain. So I'm going to create links over here now, remove this one and put this one over here, and let's see if that has worked. So now we have shaped the flow of information right here, and the mail to link form just below that, and then a little bit more at the bottom. Okay, that actually looks rather straightforward now. Okay. Yeah, actually these components that I've shown before, they work the same anyhow, regardless of where I'm putting them. So that is one of the strengths of MetaExplorer, that you simply change, well, for example here, like if you want to change the email to my email.com, then you would change this in the current running version, but what gets filled in at first comes from somewhere else. And the data that gets filled into the different parts of the application is actually what you define in the blue background here. How it looks is then up to the HTML and CSS, and then the layout, where you're putting things and in which order they're being displayed, is a question of these linear data displays. So yeah, we can say that we want to have these components, the hero and the start. This is the hero part. This is the start part. For example, that we want to have them in position 0 and 1, and display them one after another, and then that goes into a CSS wrapper, which then has this visual property, and in this case also has a CSS class, or actually two, and these define, well, these are sort of a data property, and this is a visual order property. Okay, so it's a little different from a lot of what you see is what you get editors, but in this style you can actually well, control the data flow through the application. All right, as the last point, I will create okay, as a last point, I will create better copy and move it in here. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the first setup. I'm going to show how it will look with the, let me just check here. We need to navigate to the main page now. Okay, I'm going to check how it looks with all of the on the bigger screen, and I'm actually kind of happy with having just 2 bits of information over here. The bigger one and then the mail to form. Yeah, so this is an approach to the second iteration of the landing page. Thanks a lot for watching, and well, let me know any questions, for example, through this mail to form.